Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you down and laugh at when you cry. And I still don't know how I even survive. Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you down and laugh at when you cry. And I still don't know how I even survive.
It's so awesome to have you here. I love your music and I love your style. I love your voice. I love everything about you and what you represent. So first let's talk about who you are. So how did you how did you get to where you are today? I know you don't live in Tennessee, is that correct? You're from LA.
I do live here. I'm originally from LA, but I moved here like in 2014. So I've been here for, I guess it's been almost 7 years now. But I started like in LA, like around there. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So where did you find your love for music? Was it at a young age? I know I've heard so many different things from different artists. They started out and the music found them, or they started out singing in church. So how did you develop your style of music?
Yeah, the music found me for sure. I was like, whoa. So probably from a young age, I was really, I just wanted to be like a pop star, which is funny because people wouldn't think that about me. They would categorize me as like a rock kind of singer, which is true. I like to sing everything, but I was super into Mariah Carey. And I would like fall asleep listening to her cassette tape. I'm that old, with the headphones at night. And then I joined the choir, like Catholic school, and then I started doing theater, which is like a good mix. And then when I was probably like 16, I really found like what I was great, which was rock music. Like I got into No Doubt, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to put my hands and go crazy on stage and just rage. And that's kind of where I got into like this style of music. And it's my favorite for sure. It's usually what I create. So that's kind of how that all happened.
Awesome. That's a fantastic story. And what are you doing now? So you've got a music video coming out on the 23rd. So let's talk about that. How exciting that is.
I know. And I'm super excited to release it. I'm lucky to have my best friend here in Nashville, Anana Payne, and she has a video production company with her husband, Arafi, and they're amazingly talented. She's got a great vision. So I'm lucky enough to kind of work with them on almost every project that I've been doing since I've moved here. So I worked with them on this one, and I had a really great time doing it. And it's with the song that we're covering is a Paramour song, which is no surprise to anybody that I'm a huge Paramour fan, like one of my favorite bands of all time. And we just this song we recorded actually like a few years ago, just kind of messing around, like and I, who Dave Smith is a musician here in Nashville, and we just dumped it off because I felt like in this climate and what we've all been going through since early 2020, it's really like valid for how everybody would feel, and really giving that phrase "hard times" a completely like new meaning, because I'm sure when Hayley Williams wrote this song, I'm sure it meant something different to her, but I really was like, hey, like these lyrics and everything, when you're putting it with what's going on right now, is just really like relevant. So that's why I decided to take this into the studio, which I took it to a good friend of mine who has a studio production company called Wirebird Productions, and that's run by Brett Ryan Stewart. And I took everything into him. I got Kyle Edmondson, which is a good friend of mine and amazing drummer. And we just recorded it, and then Brett brought it to life. And so I'm really excited. The song's already released, but I'm really excited to release the music video that's coming this Saturday.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing the music video, and I'll post it on the channel as well, and on Facebook, so everybody can hear it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I do have a question. You know, as times have changed, and you know, women has evolved in the music industry.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's easier now than it was, say, 20 years ago to get into the music industry? How do you feel that it's changed, and that it's progressed in a positive, you know, forwardness to allow more women to you know, get out there and stretch their abilities, and, you know, do punk rock and do death metal and do different genres than what we were doing 20 years ago?
I think that's a great question. I have to say that, like, at least in LA, I really didn't know, or I wasn't meeting a lot of women. And I'm not sure why. I don't know why or what that means. But after moving out here, I've met like so many musicians that are women, and so many songwriters. So I don't know if it's like an LA thing, or if it was just moving here, if that's what the progression is, or if it's just been that, you know, there are more of us that are getting out there. But obviously, like, it's kind of the same thing where, you know, it's predominantly male, you know, so I have seen a change. I don't know if it's like gotten easier for us. I mean, I think it's still hard to kind of, I don't want to say break into it, but I do know that over here, it just seems like there's a lot of, you know, female musicians that I've met. And again, I don't know if it's situational to the city, but it's great to see that. And I am involved in a lot of like female tribute shows, you know, around Nashville. And I have a friend, Susan Hyatt, who is the singer of Pillbox, which is like this really big like grunge band. She was huge. And she puts together a lot of like female, like women to the front shows. So I am part of that. And I think that's, you know, great to see. And everybody has had like, everybody's been really amazing that I've met. And same to say for men too. Like, living here, I haven't met anybody where I'm like, oh, you know, they kind of have like a huge ego, or it's hard to work with them. So Nashville all around is like kicking ass with that. So I feel like it was a little more pretentious in LA, and I don't know. I mean, shocking. I mean, I don't know why, but everyone's been really, really awesome here. So I'm happy to see and be able to work with a bunch of women out here, which is something that I really wasn't doing in LA. I feel like looking back at it now, I'm like, everybody was a dude, you know? So I would really like to work with like a female producer or a mixing engineer. So that's something that, you know, would be awesome, or would be cool to see, because most people that I work with for, you know, somebody who's mixing my song or producing it or mastering, they're men. So that would be cool to see more of that. And I'm sure they're out there. I could do my research to look for them, but it's always great to see that. But I do go out of my way to also to try to find, since I am a female, I go try to find other people to like get on the bill with me, or really kind of just see like where they are out here and try to meet them and make friends with them.
Oh, I love that. I love it. And you are right. Because I live in East Tennessee, so I'm close to Nashville, and it has evolved in Nashville. I've seen more female singers on the bill, you know, playing in the bars, you know, at all times, you know, and it's good to see how we have evolved as women in the music industry, you know, and I mean, we've always had a good, strong presence with some great strong women over the years. You know, look at Blondie, of course, you know, she started it. I mean,
that got me into, I mean, that was the initial, and I don't know if it's, I mean, I guess it could have been that, but that was the initial, like, oh my God moment for me, where I was seeing Gwen Stefani being like, hey, like, you know, fuck you, like, this is what I'm doing, get out of my way, I'm leading the show. And that was the initial attraction, at least for like, wow, this is like inspiring me, you know, I'm Just a Girl is the title of her, you know, her main anthem. And it's like, yeah, man, like I feel that. So to really kind of take that, you know, and going through all these experiences that I have been through many where I'm just like, huh, like, okay, like this is a little bit harder and things are coming up that maybe they wouldn't with a man. And it does get frustrating, but I also take that as a challenge where I'm like, bring it on, you know, like, let's go.
Right. When I was growing up, I remember I listened to Heart. Heart was just yeah. They Stevie Nicks, of course, was always on my playlist, and you know, of course, I was an '80s girl, so Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and all the big voices, Celine Dion, you know, so I'm very privy to all of them, and but it's so good. It's so good to see, you know, you on stage and you know, you taking a different route, just like Gwen Stefani did, and just like, I mean, look at Pink, and I mean, we can name off strong female.
Well, Pink's like insane. I don't even understand how she's doing all those acrobatic moves whilst singing. Like, I don't even get that. That's like a whole other thing where I'm just intrigued by her. Like,
I know, how does she do that?
She's like, not only am I going to sing, but I'm going to be floating upside down on like, you know, blankets or like sheets. I mean, like, what the heck? So like, I can't even get into that, but that's insane. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, she did that on a award show one time, and everybody was like, how do you do that? And she was touring at the time, and that was part of her act. And I couldn't even, I mean, you know, after about 15 minutes, I had to take a break. I mean, you know, it's kind of, it's like I can't be doing, you know, flips on a rope or anything, you know. I have to take, it's coffee break after about 15. So
it's insane. It's crazy.
So next year you got you're working on some music, an album. So let's talk about that. That's coming up. So
yeah.
What is this album about?
Well, for this album, I'm actually working with like a bunch of different like mixing engineers on this one. And I have one album that was released like in 2018, but I worked with like, you know, one person, one tracking engineer, one studio. And for this album, which is really fun, I'm working at many different studios and recording with different people. And so that's I really like that because for a lot of reasons, because I get to see what it's like to work with different people out here, and, you know, different musicians. So I've already released like 3 songs that are going to be on this album that's going to be out next year. And I also don't have, like, usually I try to get things together where I'm like, all right, this is kind of going to be a theme maybe, but that's not, this is just like every song is different. And that's what I like about this one is there's not really like any rules for this one. So who knows what it's going to be like. But right now I've got like 7 songs, and I'm probably going to write a few more and then release that like maybe mid next year or early next year. But I'll definitely be releasing singles like every 2 months, because people have like no attention spans, and I think that's a good idea.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, that's exciting, and I love that you're mixing up. You're not doing, okay, this, you know, a lot of times the albums have a story to them,
right?
And sometimes the best ones are the ones that don't have the story, and you can relate to each song differently. And I love that. I love it when artists do a mix, so to speak, and it shows, it just shows the variety of your skill, talent, and what you can do as an artist. So I'm very much looking forward to that album. So
me too.
So you're probably going to go on tour, of course. You've got a tour probably set once you get the album done. Do you know where you're going to be touring, or where you would like to tour next?
I mean, I would hope that it would be just obviously like states that are somewhere close. I'd like to get into some festivals. That's definitely a goal, because I have yet to do so. So that would definitely be the goal. But I really can't wait to just start doing shows again. I think it's obviously everything's been really hard the way that everything's been going. And the problem is where I'm seeing with musicians where it's like, you know, we want to, if we're releasing an album or you know, something like that, we want to be able to promote it. And so I think that's the most important thing, which is doing live shows and really making a big deal about it. And so that's why I think that's why I'm waiting until next year, because everything is still kind of, we're getting back in there, but it's not, you know, it's not to the capacity where it needs to be. So that's definitely something that I'm planning on doing, but I'm waiting until things get a little more, you know, back to normal in terms of like people going to concerts and all of that, because you want to, I feel like a lot of musicians are doing that. You know, they're waiting on their songs or waiting with what they have so that they could really get out there and promote it.
I agree with that, because a lot of the bigger bands have just started their tour dates. Just, I mean, Rolling Stones just came out a couple of months to go on tour, so and they're starting it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're starting it later in the year this year because of what's going on in the world, just to be on the safe side. And I appreciate that, and I'm thankful that they are taking that attention to their fans and so forth, and waiting just a little bit to go out there. I've only been to a few concerts this year. I'd like to go to more, of course, and next year as well as they start opening up. But I mean, how has all this affected you personally as an artist over the past year? Has it put you on hold pretty much?
It affected everybody. I feel like everybody had something going on. I mean, I'm sure they did. And then they were like, oh, this sucks, you know? I mean, I was just finishing a tour that I had jumped on for this new wave 80s band called Bow Wow Wow, which was, you know, big in the 80s. And we had like 2 more shows that we were going to do, and they were going to be in my hometown, and they were literally like March 15th or something. So we didn't get to do those, which kind of sucked, because like I really wanted my family to, you know, come out and see me on this tour. But so that stopped, and then pretty much everything did. So this was probably going to be the busiest year I was going to have, you know, 2020. So everything just stopped. I mean, obviously all the shows stopped. I was really just focusing on mental health for a very long time, because you could easily go down a rabbit hole and be like, oh my God, I can't, you know what, I had all these great things going for me and now I don't. And so instead of going down that way, I really was just like, you know what, job number 1, like try to stay positive. And that's really what I focused on for most of the time. I didn't force myself to write either, because even though you had this time, you could also easily be like, hey, you need to use this to write and do all this stuff. And I started to do that, and it really didn't work. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to, you know, hold off, because the most important thing was just trying to get through this, you know, with a positive attitude, and not go to the dark side. So everything was put on hold. Like obviously like all the gigs and everything, they're coming back. I'm starting to gig now, and I'm in like event bands, and I'm going to Illinois and then Kentucky this weekend to do like some event shows where we just sing. We do everything. Like we do all kinds of music, and they're like medleys, and we do choreo. So that's something that I really love. It's really fun. Like in the accordance with that, it's like everything's coming back, but I still feel like for original music, that's why I'm waiting for next year, because it's still trickling. It's not back to where it should be or could be.
Right. And I appreciate your candidness and honesty with that question, because it has affected. I mean, everything stopped. The world just stopped.
Everything stopped.
Yeah, it stopped.
I mean, other people, obviously, I'm sure somebody else had like a movie role, or they had like something, because I really felt like my career was taking off like right before this, because it was my first like US tour. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is going to be great. And like, here we go. You know, you work so hard, for years to try to get to a certain spot, or whatever that means. I mean, you keep going, but yeah, it was definitely one of those things where I'm sure this happened to everybody, where they had something amazing going on, and like, you really just have to think, well, this was just the beginning, because you're gonna get another job, you're gonna get another tour. And that's really just the way that I was thinking. And that's definitely gonna help you get through the times.
Right, and I love your attitude. I love your positiveness because I'm very positive, and I love that. And then that's the way you have to think, especially with what we have endured over the past year and a half. Is that you've got to stay focused on the dream. You got to stay focused on your goals, or you will go down that road, and it's very hard to get out of that ditch that you dig whenever you're depressed, or you're like, okay, this all stopped. But like you said, there's going to be another tour. There's going to be another song. You're going to write another day.
I mean, you can't just be like, oh, well, that was it. That was the last thing I was going to do. Like, that's ridiculous. So you got to what you're doing is you're never stopping. I mean, this is what we're doing like for the rest of our lives, So that was just something that I was like really hammering in from the beginning when I knew like, okay, this is going to be a long time. This is going to be a thing. Like, I was just like, you can't think that way. Because that also just isn't a way of thinking successfully either. To think, that was it, and.
Right. And I love that, because it's not the way I think. I thought, okay, well, I'm going to be home more. So what can I do? And that's what I went. I looked at it. Okay, what can I do with my time? And I didn't force myself to write, and I didn't force myself to sing. I was like, okay, we'll just kind of take it day by day, go with the flow. And
you were writing or whatever, that's great. I have some people who were like crazy inspired, and I'm like, awesome. But for me, I sat down and I was like immediately anxiety ridden, where I was like, girl, you better take this time and you better write this song. And I was like, whoa, like this negative emotions were coming from that. And so I took that as a cue to like, this isn't working for me. It might be working for other people, which is awesome, Yeah,
and I didn't, I did a little bit. I didn't do as much as what, I'm sure other people did. I did the same thing. I just took my time. I did cook a lot though, but I cook anyway. So my husband just got, he just gained another 15 pounds. So, but he's all right.
Good.
He's okay. Well, thank you so much, Kristen, for taking time today and speaking with me. It was a joy to get to know you. And
All I want is to wake up fine. Tell me that I'm alright, that I ain't gonna die. And all they want is a hole in the ground. You can tell me what's alright for me to come out. Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you down and laugh when you cry. And I still don't know how I even survive. And I gotta get to rock bottom, walking around with my little rain cloud hanging over my head, and it ain't coming down. Where do I go? Give me some sort of sign. Hit me with lightning, maybe I'll come alive. Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you
Thank you all for taking some time out of your world and being a part of ours. It was a pleasure speaking to Kristen this afternoon and getting to know her and what's going on in her world. So, guys, stay tuned for that album release next year. I promise you won't be disappointed. Also, stay tuned this Sunday. We have a frightfully scary movie for Music and Movie Day because it's the month of October. It's Halloween month. And as always, smile, stay positive, stay true, and always, always be you. And stay safe. Good night, everyone.
Gonna make you wonder why you even try. Gonna take you down a